I found my boss's highly critical notes about a coworker. I am not op. Trigger warnings. Concerning. Less than. Mood spoilers. Good. Less than. An NBSP. I found my boss's highly critical notes about a coworker July 21, 21. After 10 years of working together. My direct manager, our director of operations, Jessica, was let go from our company a few months ago. There were apparently some behind-the-scenes issues between herself and our CEO, Bruce. He alluded as much to me and others in conversation. I think in an attempt at transparency. That led to this result. Bruce had the replacement for Jessica set to start less than a week after Jessica was let go. She was let go on a Tuesday. My new manager Elizabeth started the following Monday, which leads me to believe that this change was in the works for well over a month. Due to the notice Elizabeth would have had to give at her previous job. I don't know if I can communicate how sudden Jessica's termination was. It was a surprise to everyone but especially to Lila, who is one of Jessica's best friends and who works as a manager. When Elizabeth first started, one of the tasks at the top of her list was meeting with the managers and department heads to get a feel for the organization. But the meeting with Lila took place after hours, and from what I heard of it, it was not polite or professionally handled. I work after usual business hours and the doors to my office and the conference room were both open. Elizabeth and Bruce were quite aggressive toward Lila. Thankfully, another manager, Mandy, was also in the meeting and was able to give Lila a little support and a chance to take a breath. The meeting eventually seemed to calm down, and I closed my door once I realized what I was hearing. And I have chalked that up to Elizabeth being primed by others, possibly Bruce, to take a defensive position due to Lila's close friendship with Jessica. This is my conundrum. I went to our communal supply closet last evening to get some notepads. There weren't any fresh, new ones. But I was looking for scratch paper for myself and don't mind using up the dregs of someone else's old notepad. I grabbed a few remnants and went back to my desk. When sorting through the notepads quickly to clean up any loose pieces, I noticed that one had writing on the second page down. I flipped the page up, intending to remove and shred whatever notes were on there. The notes that I saw were Elizabeth's notes from, or possibly after, that first meeting with Lila. I'm sure I won't shock you by telling you that the notes, at a glance, once I realized what they were not flattering to Lila in the least. Some pertained to her work performance, but others were very crude and inaccurate assessments of Lila's personality and what Elizabeth did not like about her. There was also a page after those notes with some jotted down info from a high-level meeting that Elizabeth attended. Again, at a quick glance, I don't know what to do now. Should I pretend I never saw the notes, shred them, and keep my mouth shut? Should I take the notepad to Elizabeth and explain how I ended up with it, allowing her to destroy the notes herself? I could even play it more as, funny thing, I grabbed this old notepad from the supply closet and it looks like you still have some notes on here. Did you want to check them to see if you still need them? Quote, but of course. She will want to know if I saw what the notes were about. It is very fortunate that I was the one who came across this information, as I work at the manager level, with clearance and responsibilities to match, and previously did rescue work for the company. I suppose my biggest issue here is wondering, if Elizabeth made notes like that about Lila, what kind of notes did she make about me after our first encounter? I can't ask her that, but I worry that bringing up the Lila notes to Elizabeth will cause her to mistrust me. To be very clear, I have no intention of telling Lila or anyone else about what I saw. Elizabeth and Lila seem to have evened out a bit and their relationship is maybe not the best in the world. but it is certainly better than when Elizabeth first started. I don't want to cause issues or drama. I just want a good working relationship with my new boss. An NBSP update. I found my boss's highly critical notes about a coworker June 21, 22. The primary update: we don't have HR. And the only members of the company who were above me in hierarchy at the time were Elizabeth and Bruce. I felt a lack of ownership when it came to drawing attention to the situation or deciding what the correct course of action would be. My final determination was to seek out the counsel of Amy, Bruce's executive assistant, who had been in charge of cleaning out Jessica's office. When I showed the notes to Amy, she instantly made the decision to shred them. We have a third-party company who shreds our documents, and those are kept in secure, locked boxes until picked up. I also left it to Amy to decide whether to inform Elizabeth about the situation. As far as I know, she did not. I had also gone through the cabinet to make sure no other notepads had any written pages on them. And I found one notepad with Jessica's notes from a common meeting a few years prior. So I shredded those. Some general updates about everyone involved. Elizabeth is no longer with our company. She gave notice about 6 months in, citing the not great fit on both sides as well as an opportunity she could not pass up. Elizabeth remains a mixed bag in my opinion. Before she left the company, she ensured that I received a review and a raise, after not having a review for over 3 years. However, there were some professionalism problems evident. For example, Elizabeth and I were having a very serious one-on-one discussion, and while I was talking, she reached into her drawer, pulled out her floss, and proceeded to floss her teeth. I was stunned, and I assume I stopped speaking, because she gestured for me to continue. I asked if she needed me to come back, and she replied that no, it was fine, and flossed all of her teeth. Not in an "excuse me, this popcorn kernel is stuck. Please, 1 second," with a turn away and quick floss. It was both hands in her mouth, just sawing away at her gums. At that point I think she had already mentally checked out. Our serious discussion was about something she had done without thinking, and I was doing my best, trying to minimize the fallout. The real benefit of Elizabeth is Regina, who Elizabeth hired prior to leaving. Bruce promoted Regina into the role Elizabeth had vacated, and we are all delighted to work with Regina. Bruce is still Bruce. After Elizabeth left, he went around seeking guidance on what had gone wrong. He has a history of taking resignations a little too personally. But I honestly think that the situation worked out as best it could. Elizabeth was a rebound, in a sense, and while I did not wish such a short tenure on her, Regina was able to step into the role without the crushing weight of constantly being compared to Jessica. As far as I know, Jessica is doing well in her new job. The same for Lila. Lila, the unknowing recipient of this vitriol, found a great job elsewhere and from all accounts is thriving. Lila's last day was close to Elizabeth's, and while I think Lila might have stayed with Elizabeth gone, her new work environment sounds much healthier for her and the work well suited to her skill set, along with the lack of baggage she still had here as Jessica's close friend. As for me, Enid, the notepad goblin, I'm still using up dregs of old notepads and imagining myself in Sweet Valley. Thank you, Allison and the commentariat, for your kind words and suggestions. I was at an absolute loss with no HR and the problem involving my only supervisors. And so I greatly appreciated the anonymous third-party guidance. Keep up the great work. Reminder: I am not the original poster. Flossing in the middle of a meeting is not only disrespectful, but highly unhygienic. Ew. Everyone has covered being gobsmacked about the tooth flossing, but I'm still stuck on the fact that Elizabeth wrote down on paper her nasty thoughts about the coworker. Who does that? A cardinal workplace rule is that if you put something into writing, especially on unsecured paper, you have to be prepared that the wrong person will read it. I mean, I guess in the end it didn't have any consequences for her. But what idiocy. Enid, the notepad goblin. I hope she puts this on her LinkedIn. Elizabeth probably thought the flossing was a power move since they were discussing fixing her mistake, but it just comes off as so gross. Oh man, what great names, Sunface. I love reading these AAM updates. I take notes on all this stuff, both to protect myself and to have a plan of action eventually for my not great situation at work. Your link to the original post has an extra backquote in the URL. Correct one is https www.askamanager.org/2021/07/ I found my boss highly critical notes about a coworker.html. An NBSP who flosses their teeth outside the bathroom in the middle of talking to someone else. We don't have HR. What a coincidence that a lot of the company drama that is posted here has this line. What on earth was she thinking by suggesting she gives them back? I'd have given them to Lila. There are so many characters to keep track of in this otherwise mundane story. Oop is an odd person emo. Why she defended Elizabeth and Bruce at any point and thought it was kinda okay how the meeting went is so weird to me. Man. IDK. The first thing I thought of to do would be to copy the notes, either physically or electronically, and give them to Lila. I think she deserved to know, and Oop did her a disservice. Things worked out because they happened to, not because Oop was anything other than a lump on a log. Man. This would be super gossip to friends, but I would have destroyed it immediately. Out of sight, out of mind. And ew. Flossing her teeth on a meeting. Yikes. I've been getting more and more curious about these Ask a Manager BoRU posts. Can anyone explain why they're posted here? I enjoy them, I'm just confused. Did it used to be a subreddit or something? I don't advocate lying in general, except when it comes to work. Don't protect managers or employers. Just keep your head down and CYA. Find a notepad with incriminating notes? No, you didn't. The joys of people. I had a superior that checked into my building maybe twice a year. I had to brief my staff to greyrock any meetings because she always carried 2 liters of Diet Coke for a 1-hour meeting and sucked her thumb throughout. Interesting times. This place sounds toxic AF, just on pettiness alone. Anyone else go back, after Op pointed out the Sweet Valley High names, and reread the post through the lens of Sweet Valley High characters and plot tropes? Just me? No problem. Came for the story, stayed for the Sweet Valley High names. So the update is, never mind.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.